Hey, what's going on? Box of Curios here, and I'm doing a late night commentary today. As you can see the title of the video, I just want to talk about video games and where the industry is going, and what have they become? What did they evolve from? How do we get here? And this has been a topic that's been on my mind, and it's been kind of bothering me lately, just because it's been affecting me in my personal life, actually. So let's just hop right into it. So as I start with most of my videos, I want to look back at the past and take a look at video games about 10 to 15 years ago. And I specifically want to look at the Game Boy and PlayStation 2 era of video games. So if you look at the tone and the design principles of these games, they were made from the ground up to be fun, consumer friendly, and most importantly challenging, so that anyone that picks up the controller and tries to play them can learn and adapt to get themselves better at the game. The reward of playing video games, or pretty much doing anything that's hard in life, is to get good at it and then master it, and that's the fun, that's the joy in things. That's why people play the drums or do art or become math majors. Well, maybe not that last part. But if you look at games like Prince of Persia, I can't remember what the base price of that game is, but when you purchase that game, you got the single player campaign, and you got some bonus modes with that. But that campaign you could play for hours on end. Hours on end. And it doesn't matter what skill level you are. There was so much to do in those games back then. And again, I'm citing Prince of Persia. You had the whole story to follow. You had the collectibles on the side, and then you also had the mastery of using the rewind time and save mechanics. Those things took skill, and it took some guts to figure out, oh hey, how am I going to use my abilities in this game to finish this campaign so I can beat the final boss. And for the Game Boy, I grew up playing the XCOM games on the Game Boy. And, you'd get the little tiny cartridge or whatever and push it in there. And again, you could play these games for hours on end. To this day, that XCOM game for the Game Boy is one of my favorites. And I must have sunk hours into it. A lot of the game was getting your ass kicked by the AI, or whatever basic programming they had in it back then, and learning how to adapt and use the abilities of the characters in that game to beat the levels. Contrast that with now, specifically taking a look at Call of Duty Cold War, but these trends apply to the industry as a whole. You're punished for doing good. Like if I were to play Cold War, first game right in, I would get a good lobby. I would, maybe drop like a 2 or 3 KD game, feeling good about myself, and then immediately be placed in a skill-based matchmaking lobby or engagement matchmaking lobby, whatever you want to call it. And the better I do, the more I'm punished. And it just feels so contradictory from a design standpoint. Like talking about SBMM in particular, excuse me. The game is designed to be as casual as possible. You have the point streaks that they're basically support streaks that stay through your life. You have the extra health and armor. You also have the kill streaks like the Deagle and the chain gun and the air patrol that will decimate the enemy team. You have all these things that make it a very casual experience, but it's ruined by the skill-based matchmaking because it's so strict, and the better you are at the game, you're punished by a worse connection and being placed against clones of yourself, essentially. And so that kind of leads to my next point, is that I feel like modern video games in general are just kind of not fun. And I'm sure part of this comes with age and growing up and kind of maturing and having different tastes, but if you kind of look at the trends, I feel like video game companies are so much more exploitative now. Uh, it's just all about leeching as much of the customer's money as possible. I'm gonna take a look at Warzone again. It's one of the biggest battle royales right now. What they do in this game is that every season they'll drop a new super powerful weapon that can beam kids from across the map, and then 2 or 3 weeks in, they'll nerf the gun. But before they do that, they'll put a bundle in the store so that the kids who have extra money to spend, or adults that don't know how to control their spending habits, will drop $20 on a bundle and get a useless cosmetic item and a skin for their gun. But it'll have all the attachments that'll make it a beam, that'll make it a fantastically OP gun. That's why most of these bundles have like monolithic suppressors and field agent grips, the two best attachments in the game. It's like they design it to be as overpowered as possible, and then when people get their hands on it and they have their money, they'll nerf the gun, and then 4 weeks down the line another gun will release and they'll do it again. And that's why the modern Call of Duties have made so much revenue. It's just exploitative. They try to keep you on the game as long as possible by giving you these bot lobbies every 5 or 6 games to make you feel better and keep playing. But you look back 10 years ago, and these kind of interactions where you would get bot lobbies where it was organic, it was random. Looking back at a game like Modern Warfare 3, if you jumped in a lobby, you didn't know if it was going to be, a scrimmage match, or if you were going to, have a good time and play against kids that were decent, or bad, or whatever. Now it's so artificial and programmed, and it just kind of it just sucks the fun out of it. A lot about video games is getting better and adapting to the people you're playing against. And going back to what I said earlier, the harder you try, the better you try to get at the game, the more you're punished. And that kind of leads to my next point about just the industry and the media in general. I feel like as video games have kind of evolved, the culture around it has too. And if you look at YouTube clips for Warzone or whatever, it's all about people trying to be as meta as possible. And I know I said Warzone, but I'm talking about just games in general. In Battlefield, it's about people dropping 40 kills with the Bullfrog on Operation Locker. It's people doing these crazy flanks, and so people see this, and I know I've seen this, and then I want to go play like them. I look at Handler's videos in Search and Destroy, and then I want to go play like him, and I learn to play like Handler. And then it put me in all these insanely high skill-based matchmaking lobbies, and then I got burned out on Modern Warfare, and I deleted the game. It's things like that. I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I know that millions of other people look at the internet and they want to keep getting better and adapt to the game. But when everyone else is doing it, it's like fighting a brick wall. How do you get better if the competition does the same with you because you're all looking at the same source material? So developers are exploiting the consumer, and the consumers are essentially trying to exploit the game as much as possible to get the slightest edge over the enemy to beat the skill-based matchmaking lobby, just so they get their ass kicked in the next lobby, and then they have to do it again. It's such a toxic cycle, and that's how it's been affecting me personally, is because after I finish these games, I don't feel like I've been challenged and I got better as a player. I don't feel like I played a game. I feel like I was force-fed a piece of entertainment, and I suffered through it, and then I feel like shit after, and I feel toxic, and then I want to go out and be a dickhead to other people because I just had a terrible time playing Call of Duty for an hour, after my 8-hour shift or whatever. So if you ask me in 10 years when I'm 31, are you going to be playing video games? I honestly don't know. I don't like the way the industry is going, and I'm not sure if this is something that can be fixed without incentive for the publishers to develop full games that aren't greedy and are consumer friendly. If you look at the games in the last 5 years, Rainbow Six, Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, these are the big dogs we've had in the industry. And right now we're kind of in a break where we don't really have a whole lot of new games coming in that kind of fill that palette. Battlefield 2042 is coming out this winter, so is Vanguard. The next Rainbow Six is a total flop. Halo is seemingly the only one that's carrying the industry, but I even have my fears for that game because I feel like it's going to launch very consumer friendly, but I don't know if that's going to last a very long time. And it just kind of raises my concern to not only video games but just kind of life in general. I feel like corporations are trying their hardest, social media, whatever, news outlets, to just get as much money or time or attention out of the consumer. You know, these things are very important, and I feel like those little tiny moments of joy have been monetized, and not even for your own benefit, for some guy in a suit to, you know, fill his wallet with. And it's just absurd. I don't know how they managed to do it, but they managed to put a price on fun. And it just sucks. It just sucks to see. I don't get that feeling I got 10 years ago when I played Prince of Persia. Yeah, I'm sure it's age, but if you look back to like 2007, 2008, when Halo 3 was around and there were people my age back then, you know, if you were 21 and you were playing Halo 3 in its prime, I'm sure you were having a blast and you were like, oh boy, I can't wait for the next, you know, whatever to come out, because it was in a good spot back then. I don't, the trends the industry is going down, it's just kind of gloomy. It's just kind of gloomy. That's all it comes down to. And I'm not sure if video games are going to be a hobby for me that I can continue to keep doing. And I feel like most people are going to start feeling the same way. It's kind of hitting a bottleneck, and the burnout's very real. I don't really know what else to say. The more I talk about it, the kind of the worse I feel, because this is something I used to really enjoy, and now I just feel like I'm a number. And I don't really want to go on YouTube and look up how to get better gameplays, and I don't want to keep doing this. I just want something new. I want something fresh. And so I guess my proposed solutions, really, I wish that developers would somehow be able to promise a full game, and they had standards, industry standards, that would be held up to somehow if it could be enforced. And I wish that there were new IPs and new faces on the block. We've had the big dogs in the industry like Counter-Strike and Halo and Battlefield and Call of Duty for so long. It would be nice to have a new franchise to look towards. I don't know if that's gonna come by anytime soon. I think these companies like Activision, they have a good job of holding things down. But that's gonna have to do it for tonight. I feel like I got most of my points across, and I would say that my opinions are largely agreeable. So if you feel the need to discuss, please put it in the comments. I'd love to talk more. I'm glad to be back in recording videos again. I'm feeling more confident, and yeah, I'd love to keep doing this. So I will catch you guys later. Have a good summer, or whenever you're watching this, and take care. And don't forget to drop a subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Alright, peace out. Goodbye.